So let's take a moment to just talk about Facebook ads, which are absolutely an important part of digital marketing for home builders and anyone in related businesses. Um, One thing is you need to learn Meta's policies. Um, if you go to that top orange link, you can go in there and read through it. If you are in housing, it is considered a special ad category. So when you set up your ad, you're going to see on the right something that looks like that. It always starts off saying employment, but if you click on it, this drop down shows up, and then you can see the second one down is housing. So you want to check that off. If you don't, your ad can get rejected, and usually you have a chance to resubmit it, but you'll just avoid a lot of problems. And it's frankly, it's like robots, really, at least for a first look, taking a look at something. So if they see anything that indicates housing and they don't see that checked, they're going to just automatically reject your ad. So you want to click that. If you are violating their policies over and over again, then you will get shut down and it's very difficult to get reinstated. So it's just really important that you read through their policies. Facebook's changing all the time, even just the interface, it can be kind of challenging. So I think you have to have a certain level of patience. And we recommend really kind of reading this over to make sure nothing's changed. At least like once a month, you want to take a look at it. I don't really think these are that common for, people in the building business, but just make sure that, if you're linking to a website, your website's functioning properly. It's not covered in ads, it's relevant to what you're advertising. And again, you do need to just understand all the codes and the laws and everything around it. Stuff like copyright, again, is important as well. You want to make sure you're not using music or anything like that, you don't have permission. So housing, as I mentioned, is its own special category. So you are allowed to target geographically. You cannot target by zip code, but let's say you're targeting Seattle, Washington. You can do that. It's going to give you a 15-mile radius around that. Okay. You can't exclude certain neighborhoods. And, let's say you are building very high-end homes, and you would like to do that, you can't do it. So this all has to do with anti-discrimination. Facebook will not allow you to do that. It also will not let you pick a certain age group, which I realize, you know, some of you may say, well, I'm dealing with younger potential homeowners. No, you have to do 18 to 65 plus. So it's the entire adult population, and it has to be both men and women. Lookalike audiences for homes ads are no longer available. So this is where you could upload a phone, a list of phone numbers, a list of emails. I believe as of January 2025, they removed that. So you just can't do that anymore. But you still can target by geography. You can target by, if people are interested in real estate and home and garden. Um, and honestly, I think that geographic is probably one of the most powerful because you're trying to reach people in places where you actually are offering your services. You can think of the categories of ads as awareness, which is, building traffic, getting people to your website. If I've never heard of you, you can't build me a home, right? So there's, kind of that top of the sales funnel, reach. So again, it's pay to play. Chances are you're not going to get a lot of engagement on your posts. I mean, maybe if you have a huge, huge following, but the good news is you can put $25 behind a post and you can have it have a much greater reach. So your budgets can start quite low. And then you can also advertise for engagement. You can do follower ads. So this is not allowed on Instagram, but on Facebook, you can advertise and get people to like your page. And, there are real simple ways to set up an ad. You go into your ad center. So on the right here is a screenshot. if you want the more complicated techniques, you've got to go into the business suite, into Ads Manager. So when you go in, there's going to be like a widget. And again, they kind of just say, well, what do you want to do? Get more website visitors is usually a big one because this can be a very powerful source of website traffic. It's not necessarily the best website traffic, but it's reasonably inexpensive. And you're just trying to build awareness, get your name out there. You can boost your content. So that second row, third one over, you can go into a post and you'll see there's a little button. It says, do you want to boost it? So then you just figure out what your budget is. Get more leads. There's different ways to do that. You can set up a form on a Facebook page, or you can have it go to your website and have somebody fill out like a contact form. So if you're really just getting started, you really don't have many followers, it probably is a good idea to advertise for followers. Again, you put in your geographic, if you think there's an interest level, and there's optics because again, if somebody's deciding to do business with you and you don't have very many followers, and I don't know, you're like, well, maybe this isn't the most reputable company. It's just like if you drove by an office and it looked like it was falling apart, right? I mean, what are you going to think about it? If you don't really know the people, you could have the best business in the world, but people do make first impressions. So it is something that we do recommend if you're just really just getting started. Um, yeah, so again, this is what it looks like, if you're just trying to do some geographic. This is from our page, builder lead marketing. I want to drive people here. I can just do something called learn more. And you can select your media, you upload your creative, and then, you set your budget. And, the widget kind of guides you through it. There's a lot of automated settings in Facebook. And in our experience, we prefer to do the manual ones where we control, at least, client by client, we kind of take a look at this, but we've tested into it and we haven't found those to be useful. Now, those may be very useful for another industry, I don't know. But I think sometimes you just want to think, is this in my best interest or is this in Facebook's best interest? And maybe you need to test it, frankly. But that's just been our experience. So once again, you can target counties, like this on the left, Pike County, Pennsylvania, you could target that. You can do DMAs, you can do entire states, you can do interests, and then, you set your daily budget. You can run it continuously or you can set an end date. I would probably want to give an ad 2 or 3 days to see how it's doing. If it's a traffic ad and it's per click, we like to see those ads around 25 cents. The average is I think closer to 77 cents for all industries, but that's what we've been able to achieve with our clients. These are the different ad formats. So a carousel is multiple images. That does really well. And then the short form video, as I mentioned earlier, does really well. So again, there are more sophisticated options available. If you really spend a lot of money, they will give you a Facebook rep. They do have some help. They have a pretty decent sort of like automated help. And then if you really run into trouble, and if you really start spending money, you will get somebody calling you. And sometimes they have some good tips. So you might want to take that call. So how do you measure success? Uh, as I mentioned, Facebook, you'll go into your page, you go into insights. So you have to be you have to be a manager on the page or, an admin, and you can go in and you can see how your page is doing. In this case, this is like a client page. So their posts reached over 100,000 people over the last 28 days. Almost 4,500 people engaged with the post. And this was not all advertised posts. This was also just organic. So, you can customize your date range. There is a very granular level of insights available. So I encourage you to go look at your Facebook page and go find out, where those are. Go take a look at the data and take a look at, what's working, what's not working. If everything's kind of on the low end, it might be because you're just not spending any money. And again, you don't need to have a huge budget, but you do need to spend, I mean, at least to boost a post, I'd say about $25 to start, and then you can go up from there depending on your budget. This is a sample client ad. So as I said, we kind of like that 25 cents. So you can see your cost per click. This one's around 29 cents. So that's pretty close. We're happy with this ad. Facebook is an extremely efficient form of advertising. I can't really think of too many other ads that, like if you were to take out an ad in a newspaper, okay, geographics, you might get it, but this is just that much more precise level of targeting, even with the housing restrictions. You're really able to reach people. So the other way you can measure, and this is looking at your website, but if you don't have Google Analytics set up on your website, you need to do that. It's free. That's the link, google.com/analytics. And any, good developer should be able to take the code. They give you a little snippet of code, you put it on your website. Any agency can do that too. So you'll be able to see your traffic and your leads. And this is a screenshot from a client. So, they had, I think, through their ads, about 4,600 people, and then 11 people were leads. And this was probably in a 30-day time frame. You can see how organic social is doing. So, that's a little further down on this slide. But Google Analytics will show you how much traffic you're getting from Facebook. I mean, they group it together as social media, but in our experience, it's usually mostly Facebook. That's usually where the traffic is coming from.